share the Canadian Taxpayers Federation with you. Just by a show of hands, how many have heard of us? Oh, awesome. This is wonderful. I'm going to try to do this with this today, so if I jump ahead or get a little mixed up, please excuse me. So the Canadian Taxpayers Federation was founded 25 years ago, actually, this is our 25th year anniversary, in Saskatchewan. And they built their membership slowly, starting at the west and coming to the east. We've had representation here in the Atlantic for the last 5 years with our Atlantic Director, Kevin Lacey. We started building our membership here in New Brunswick in January of 2014. And the reason why, of course, is because we do have such critical issues here in New Brunswick. This government is spending $1.6 million more every day than what they bring in revenue. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you can't go on like that too long before you end up a bankrupt province. So we have some suggestions for them. And what I'm going to start off with is to share who we are, how we work, and then I'll talk to you about some of the issues that we're working on here in New Brunswick. So our mission is simple. We want lower taxes, less waste, and government accountability. So really, the only way we're going to go get lower taxes is by exposing the government waste. And of course, there is a tremendous amount of it on every level of government today. So we inform taxpayers what's going on. We advocate for fiscal and democratic reform, and we mobilize taxpayers to bring about this change. Now, one of the things that the CTF is very good at is using the media to get to the politicians to get the results that we're looking for. Our fearless leaders. Up in the corner, we have Troy Lanigan as our president and CEO. He works out of his home office in Victoria. In the middle, we have Aaron Woodrick, who is our federal director, working out of Ottawa. And in the back here with the glasses, we have Kevin Lacey, who is our Atlantic director, who many of you may have seen on TV or heard on the news. But together, they all work to achieve outstanding successes for our membership. We have been referred to as the most effective political action group in Canada, and Forbes magazine had this to say about us. With communication staffs and regional offices across the country, the CTF is the most media-savvy organization in Canada and has the largest communication presence of any any organization in Canada. So indeed, this is quite a feather in our cap. So I'm going to talk to you about some of our successes, and then we'll talk to you about the issues we're working on. So up until 2012, there was a very well-kept secret, and it was our MPs' pensions. For every dollar an MP put into their pension plan, you and I, the taxpayer, was putting in 24. Now, how outrageous is that? That's not only outrageous, it's actually quite insulting to us as taxpayers. What's that? Well, it certainly is, yeah, for you. But, you know, they felt entitled to have it, right? So the Canadian Taxpayers Federation did some research, and they wanted to look around and see if they were really out in left field with this, or was this really as outrageous as we felt it was. And they did up a report. What am I doing?
Bring your cursor up over there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And they presented this report to the MPs and the Prime Minister. You know, they read this over and they said, this is a great report, you got your facts right, and you got your figures right, and we agree something has to be done about this, but not now. So they sent them away. Well, not being an organization that's going to take no for an answer, the CTF did a few things. Well, to start with, they put these billboards up all across Canada to raise awareness, because as taxpayers, we simply did not know this was going on. They played 30-second videos in the watering holes around Ottawa, more or less to embarrass the politicians into acting. Still nothing. So the day the MPs returned from their summer recess, we put this 2,000 square foot banner in the air, flying it over Ottawa, and told them it would not come down until they come back with a commitment on their pensions. So whatever the order of the day was, that quickly got shoved aside, and the pensions became the talk. Before the end of the week, they came back and they said, well, here's the deal. For every dollar an MP puts into their pension plan, the taxpayer will put in $1.62. Now, we were pushing for a 50-50 split like in the private sector, but we'll take that $1.62. They also said that they would raise the age from when an MP can accept their pension from 55 to 65. Again, huge savings for us as taxpayers. But I'm sure, as you can appreciate, the wheels of progress turn slow, particularly when we are talking about the government. But today, in 2015, for every dollar an MP puts into their pension plan, the taxpayer is now putting in 6. So it's come down significantly. We are going to keep the pressure on to ensure that they do honor that $1.62 mark. Now, the age limit from 55 to 65, that actually kicks in January of 2016. So it's coming our way. We just got to keep the pressure on. Anybody recognize our Mr. Puffy, who may or may not resemble one of the senators? Until the Canadian Taxpayers Federation looked into the Senate spending habits, they were considered, they were untouched, and they were considered untouchable. Well, the Canadian taxpayers proved that anyone can be held accountable. So with this, we've seen now that Mike Duffy's been charged 31 counts against him. Mark Harp has been charged. Barrosso's been charged. Pamela Wallen's file was with the RCMP up until recent months, and when it's been turned over now to the prosecutor's office. So we brought forward 3 initiatives on this issue. The first one is we lobbied to have every senator audited by the Auditor General, and that has happened. That report came out in June. In June, when the Auditor General's office broke this story to the news, they told us there was going to be another 10 to 12 senators' files sent off to the RCMP. Well, that number is actually 31. 31 files have been sent off to the RCMP. So we know there's going to be more follow from this issue for sure. The next thing that we did was we lobbied and successful to a point, and you'll understand that to a point comment here in a minute. We lobbied to get a private member's bill introduced that when it becomes law, will prohibit politicians who steal from collecting their gold-plated pensions. Now, this passed 3rd and final reading in the House on February 4th of this year with an overwhelming sweep of the House. There was 258 MPs in favor of this bill and only 13 against it. So you would think it'd be a slam dunk to become law, right? But where did the bills go from the Parliament floor? Off to the Senate. And needless to say, the Senate did not want to deal with this, and they actually refused to. They broke for the summer recess, and that bill died on the Parliament floor. Now, that being said, that's not the first bill we had go that way. We will revamp this, and we will bring it back, and we'll continue to do so until we get it passed. One of the reasons we brought this forward, too, is because you may remember one of our former senators, Ray Levine. He was charged with fraud and breach of trust. Prior to his sentencing, he went in and resigned his Senate seat. So he actually sat in jail collecting almost $68,000 of our hard-earned money. So we want to ensure this doesn't continue to happen in the future, so we will definitely be bringing this back again in another form for sure. And the third thing we did, and this is still in the works actually, where we've put the question to the federal government about either abolishing or reforming the Senate. And they can't seem to make up their own minds how to do it. So we're saying let's put it out to the Canadian public and ask them, would you like to see it going all together, or would you like to see it reformed? And if it is reformed, what we would like to see, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, is that these people are voted in for a term. This gentleman, Herb LaRue. Herb LaRue was a businessman in Valemount, British Columbia, and he has been fighting Revenue Canada for the last 18 years. If you can imagine anybody having the tenacity to fight Revenue Canada that long and to be able to survive it. This gentleman, before Revenue Canada got a hold of him, he had a net worth of $4 million. He owned a campground in Valemount, British Columbia. He had a logging company, a construction company. He had several irons in the fire. He was doing very well for himself. They came in and did an audit on him, presented him with a bill of over $600,000. Herb said, you're wrong. I don't know this. I have very good accountants. They know how to dot the I's and cross the T's. You need to look at this again and come back with a different figure. Well, they didn't like Herb's attitude, so they hit him with a 900% penalty. 900% penalty. And for any of you that didn't know, which I didn't know when this all started, it is at the auditor's discretion what sort of penalty to impose. if you can imagine them having that much freedom to do that. Anyway, that brought him up to over $800,000. They came into his business and they took his files, took them back to their office. Irv wasn't there, of course. When he learned what had happened, he got on the phone, he started calling, demanding that they brought back this paperwork. He called several days, several weeks, and then finally one day he called and he got an answer. Oops, we shredded it. So the battle was on. Irv took all the money that he had available and started fighting Revenue Canada. Of course, Revenue Canada acted very quickly. They seized his campground, his businesses, his vehicles, his home, you name it, they got it. And he went to his friends and family, started the battle going, kept the battle going by going on the TV show 16 by 9, and some of you may have seen him there. And he put out a plea to the Canadian public to help him because this could happen to any one of us. And the Canadian public started sending him money. He opened up an Indigo GoFundMe account and kept the money rolling in. At the last leg of this battle, the Canadian Constitution Foundation, they stepped in and they hired him a lawyer. Irv got a victory April 30th of last year. The judge ruled that Irv didn't owe Revenue Canada anything. In fact, Revenue Canada owed him $24,000, which to my knowledge he still has not collected on. But important to us as taxpayers, and why we call Irv a Canadian hero, is because the judge ruled that Revenue Canada owed Irv a duty of care. Now that duty of care changes everything with how Revenue Canada can deal with us as taxpayers. In the past, they could come into your home or into your business, do this audit up and present you with that assessment, and you would have to prove to them that you didn't owe the money. Well, now with the duty of care, they have to prove to you that you do owe the money. They can no longer treat taxpayers in a negligible way, which means that they have to look at that assessment, how it's going to affect you, and your ability to pay. And if they are found to treat us negligibly, we can now sue them for damages. This is huge, huge success for us, for Irv. Now the problem is Revenue Canada has said, you know what? We've been the bullies on the block a long time here, and we're really not ready to give up our reign of terror just yet. So we're going to appeal that judge's decision. We've been asked by our members to get into that courtroom and fight to keep the duty of care alive, and that's exactly what we're going to do as an organization. I guess I should have clicked. Can't talk and click at the same time, I guess. So now I'm going to talk to you about some of the work that we're doing here in New Brunswick and the campaigns that we're working on. Talking about the MP's pension plans and what a success we have going there. We're looking at the MLAs now. They continually come back to us with more taxes, and of course, I'm sure you've all read the headlines lately where they want to raise the HST, they want to put a roll toll on. They've raised the vehicle registration and inspections, the driver's license, the personal IDs, the hunting license, fishing license. You can go on and on and on. Everything has continually going up, and they're not ready to stop yet. They're talking about bringing in a carbon tax. So we're saying, you guys are coming back to us with your hand out every time, but you haven't done anything to address your own prolific spending. And this is where you've got to start. And the MLA's pension plans, for every dollar an MLA puts into their pension plan, you and I, the taxpayers, putting in 18. You know, anybody here have a pension plan like that? I know I sure don't, but yet we're paying for somebody to have one. This is so wrong. So we're going to put the pressure on them. We've got a petition here to sign. Hopefully everybody will sign it before they leave today. Get this ball rolling on this issue for sure.
When can they draw that? I'm sorry,
You don't
55, isn't it?
You don't have? Oh, I've got it with me. I brought that. Yeah.
Sorry.
They have to, their age, I think it might be 55. You know, there's somebody here that might be able to answer that question.
I believe it is 55.
55, yeah. So we'll have to push for that too to get changed. And Sharon has discussed the duplication of government services based on language, and of course we're saying the same thing. We're on the verge of bankruptcy here. We can't afford this. Simply can't afford it. And it's not doing anybody any good to have it like this, for sure. And provinces a lot smaller than ours, or larger than ours, are able to function with one health authority and school boards. Same with the school boards. Like, we got, what, half a dozen Francophone school boards and a half dozen English school boards. And if we can merge these all together, the savings is going to be absolutely tremendous. Did I hear?
I said like they used to be.
Like they used to be, yeah. And the segregation of the school buses, well, I mean, aside from the, where's my cursor? Oh, there it is. There it is. Aside from the financial end of that, I, as a mother, and I guess probably everybody else in here has a question about the segregation period. Why are we segregating people in this day and age when countries after country, people have died over segregation? We're going back to it? Like, why? Why would we ever be doing that? Here in New Brunswick, our debt is in $12 billion now. And for everybody, this is actually printed off our website, and this clock ticks quite continuously. I think we're probably up to $17,000 or $18,000 each that each New Brunswicker now owes if we wanted to pay off that debt. Because all these debts, whether it's federal or provincial, are generational, our organization has been asked to do something for the youth. We can't just leave them holding the bag here. So we started an organization within the organization. We call it Generation Screwed, because that's exactly what they're going to be if we can't get a handle on this. We started this in 2013 in 17 universities. We're now in over 25 universities. And it's just amazing the way the young people have come out in droves to get the information that they need and the tools they need to address the politicians to get the results that they're looking for. And what we're advocating is smaller government, accountable government, and transparent government. And if we can get these three things in place, then they might have a brighter future for sure. We are very fortunate with everything that's going wrong in this country. We are still very fortunate for the things that are going right. And we do live in a democracy where we have the right to stand up and speak out, and through that bring about some effective change. But in today's world, we have to do it in an organized and collective fashion if we ever expect to get results. So folks, I'm here today on behalf of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation and on behalf of our 86,000 members across Canada to ask you if you believe in the work that we're doing, if you feel it's important to have an organization like this out there working on your behalf, to join with them to help make a difference. Now today I brought with me some magazines. So we have our 25th anniversary magazine that's at the back for anybody who hasn't received it yet to pick it up. Oh, it's at the back and at the front. They're all over the place here. And then I brought as well one of our most recent ones. And these are great magazines to keep you up to date on what's going on with the waste in this province and the work that the Canadian Taxpayers Federation is doing. So we have some levels, contribution levels. If you would like to join today, and of course we'd certainly appreciate it if you did come on, you can do a monthly contribution of $12.50 a month, or $25, $42. Bottom line is any contribution is greatly accepted, and we'll get you on the mailing list if nothing else. That's the end of my little spiel. Thank you, folks, for listening. Are there any questions? Any questions, folks?
Can I have an update on the ACON?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I got to add that to this. All of our issues come from our members. So every day I'm out visiting with business owners. That's who I meet with on a regular basis. And some of the issues that continually come up are, well, for instance, the spending habits of our politicians. So we brought out the MLAs and the duplication of government service. ACON is really front and center for a lot of business owners, and the reason why is because it's corporate welfare to start with. They were advised not to give this money out, and they did. And we have 6 cabinet ministers sitting there right now dealing with our tax dollars that are the ones that are responsible and have never, ever been held accountable for that. And we're saying, where's the trust? I don't trust these people to deal with my money. Anybody out here trust these cabinet ministers that are in there, sitting in there right now to spend your money? And we can see issues brewing right now that could lead us down that same road again. So we do have a petition out to hold these cabinet ministers accountable, and we're actually asking them to be removed from those positions to regain the trust of us Canadian, or New Brunswick taxpayers.
Yes.
Did you hear tell of that gas cat? Are you familiar with
Well,
that?
that's one of the things that we hear is brewing, right? So we want to make sure that
Sale of empty
Yeah.
power? That one?
you know, there's a ton of things that are going on, and we know that we just can't keep doling this money out like this, right?
Well, they already gave it 1.5 million that they were supposed to.
Oh, recently?
Yep.
No, I didn't know about that. I'd learn more about
There was
that.
liens put against them by different businesses. Anyway, they didn't have their 4 million guaranteed, and they passed it 1.5 million.
The New Brunswick government did that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that,
It was in the
no.
papers last week, I think.
Oh, okay, well, I'll have to get ahold of Kim Lacey and find out what's going on in there. Yeah,
Woodrow
Yeah.
said he was more concerned about the taxpayers' money,
Yeah.
so they cut them off.
yeah. Anything